Hi everyone, welcome to Mandy in Motion. This first episode is going to be about climbing Kilimanjaro and lessons learned on gear. So I'm going to start with the feet and work towards the head, and this will be a broad overview. First of all, have a good sturdy hiking boot that is waterproof. I gave mine away, so I'm not going to show that. I gave it to the porter after the trip. But what I will show you is a couple things not to bring. I debated about bringing my Solomon shoes for these, the trail runners. This is too heavy of a boot for at the campsite and also not heavy enough for summiting the mountain. So I recommend leave your standard tennis shoes behind, even if they're waterproof. What you do need is some kind of trail recovery shoe at night, however. And one option is your typical flip-flops. These I normally bring when I'm hiking in the state of Washington. A nice option on a hot day. However, Mount Kilimanjaro is very dusty. So I would leave your flip-flops, even if they're rated for recovery, behind. What I would recommend is a slipper that is made for mountaineering that you're able to take apart and wear just the bootie at night in your tent, and wear the shell around campsite, a nice durable material underneath. This is a Feathers and Friends bootie that I got that actually adds some warmth, perfect for being around the campsite. The other thing that you're gonna want is your gaiters. You'll want a heavy duty gaiter that will allow for extra warmth as you're making the final summit. That is a summit that happens at night, so it's quite cold. And these will help dust, low level, extra warmth as you're summiting the mountain at night. As you move up, socks. So I brought my Darn Tough socks. I brought 3 layers of this in addition to a liner layer as I'm traveling up at night. So a very lightweight layer to wear underneath my Darn Tough socks at night. So that covers feet. A lot of this stuff is in a day pack duffel that the porter brings, but you do have some stuff in your day pack. What I brought for a day pack is my Hyperlight. You can see this is a very worn. Been traveling with this for years now, but just about every weekend. So you want something lightweight, something you're comfortable with, something you've traveled a bunch already with. And I highly recommend, although not everybody carries them, hiking poles. Again, you can leave these in your duffel if you don't need them at the lower altitudes, but very helpful on that final day down when you have to descend about double what you're ascending on the mountain. The day pack at the summit will be the most packed. You're gonna have all your layers in here. As you delayer, once you've ascended to the top of the mountain, the sun has risen, you start to get really hot, all your layers end up in here. Additionally, Nalgees are highly recommended. I brought 2 Nalgene bottles, and I included in my pack the insulation for around them. So I included Nalgene bottle with the tube for water and without the tube for my electrolytes, so I could have those separated. I brought an insulated bottle. This is my Bevo. I use this for biking, but it was great for the mountain because I put hot water in this as we're going up the mountain, which is great on the stomach for that ascent day. So 3 water options. I also did bring, and this is something that is optional, but I brought a water filter. This allowed for packing extra water as needed on the trail. And you can have porters or your guide will even offer to carry some water for you. But be prepared to carry a minimum of 2 to 3 liters every day on your own. And if you need extra water, you can ask them to carry a portion of that. I also brought a filter simply because I never hike without one. For some people, carrying the 10E, if you're used to carrying your 10 essentials yourself, that's going to feel critical. The porters and guides are with you at all times though, because it's a regulated mountain and you're not allowed to go off on your own. This is a real quick interjection of what I skipped over in that first video. These are the insulation additions that you can purchase. I got these at Outdoor Research. Throw your Nalgenes in here when you're going up the mountain summit night, because you're going up at night and it gets in the negative temperatures. This will keep your water from freezing at night. You can use a carabiner, clip this to the outside of your pack, and have it still very handy. But these are great for adding just a little extra protection from that cold weather for your water. And continuing up on the layers, so in addition to the boots, the socks, you also want to think about your layers during the day and then at night. This is one thing I feel like I overpacked on. So I had 3 pairs of mountaineering pants so I could swap them out during the day. Ended up wearing my just typical mountaineering pants from REI every day and then switching out at night to a nice thermal silk layer for inside the pack. That way, what I got dusty during the day did not affect what was in my sleeping bag at night. The other thing is they bring you a wash every day. So they'll bring you some hot water to wash out before going to bed. So you can keep your night clothes and your day clothes for hiking separate. The other thing that I highly recommend, I did a little hiking in Joshua Tree to understand what kind of heat I would be under. And it is very hot. You want something super lightweight. This is my Patagonia ultra lightweight sun shirt. You don't want to have so much sunscreen on every day. So having a sun shirt very much helps. And then just above that, I was able to put my second sun shirt that's a little bit heavier on top of that. I did bring thermals, so insulated thermals for the actual summit day that could go underneath my mountaineering pants, and then topped it all off with my puffy, this Pax Light, which is helpful for the days that your porter is carrying the weight for you. Something that packs down into a ball that's lightweight. This is my Arcteris puffy, stays light, compact. I also brought a heavier duty rain shell jacket, as well as rain shell pants, which we had pleasant weather. We didn't encounter rain and snow, but these ones, especially the kinds that allow for zipping fully on and off on the side seams, is going to make your life much easier because as you're summiting, you're going to get quite hot. So buy the kind that will fully unzip so you don't have to take your boots off at the end of the summit as you start to heat up. So that's it on the layers. Next, I'm going to move on to gloves. So highly recommend a thin pair of lightweight liners. That'll go for the days that you're at lower altitude, especially if you're doing like we did. The Lomishi route is longer, 8 days. I'm certain I'm saying that wrong, but the longer route, 8 days, allows for better acclimatation. You're going a lot of up and down, so you climb high, sleep low. You'll want some lighter layers as you're at the lower altitudes. As you get higher, you're going to want something a little bit more typical for mountaineering, heavy duty gloves. So these are what I brought. These are black diamond. They've got the shell, and then I can pull out the inner layer if I get hot with the full and I just want the inside layer of gloves. So these were great. The mitten kind helps keep your hands a lot warmer at night than a glove like this, which I chose to leave behind because you really don't need, you're not working ropes or anything. You don't need gloves with the full hands. You're just slowly pulley, they say, going up the mountain at night. So you're not really having to have much agility. You just need to slowly move up the mountain. Another thing I chose to bring is fresh roll of toilet paper in its own stuff sack, just to have this as an extra option. I highly recommend paying the extra couple $100s for your group to have your own private toilet. But if you don't do that, definitely bring some TP. The other thing I never climb a mountain without is my handy Kahlua cloth. This is great, just attaches to your pack. It's got microfibers, silver in it actually, that keeps you sanitary. So something to wipe with that's other than TP, because you don't want to be contributing to TP on the mountain. There's a little bit of a problem with that already on Kilimanjaro. So everything you pack in, you got to pack out. So think about a Kahlua cloth to help keep the mountain clean. Continuing on, and I skipped past this earlier, depending on the season, you might need to bring a pair of micro spikes or crampons, a light version of crampons. However, be aware that the glacier is mostly melted on Kilimanjaro. You're not traveling on the glacier for the standard route, so likely the only thing you're going to encounter is dust, and you can leave these behind. That is one thing I brought that I could have left behind. Continuing on, next I'm going to cover sleeping. So I brought my standard roll out, blow up sleeping pad. Porters will carry a pad for you, but this is nice if you just want a little bit of additional comfort. As long as it's lightweight, you're not adding too much extra to your pack. I also have my rated for negative 15 degrees because it does get really cold at night. Think about being in the desert. Heats up during the day. At night, when there's no cloud cover, gets very cold very fast. So Feathers and Friends, great option. This is rated for negative 15, which you will need. And think about when you're buying the pack if it's rated for comfort or for survival. The packs that are just rated for survival are not the ones you want to go with. I did bring this as well. It's just a thin silk layer. I can throw in that if I get too cold. We hiked in September. I did not get too cold. Didn't use this at all. Could have left it behind. The additional item I had that's optional for comfort is a sleeping pillow. Again, inflatable pillow, super ultra lightweight, nice option to have. Continuing on, I'm going to now go through my electronics. So a couple things I brought for electronics that could have been left behind. I brought headphones thinking I would listen to something at night. These are a little bit heavy, definitely don't recommend. Bring AirPods if anything. Also think about a charge, especially if you're doing the longer route that we did. I also brought a battery pack. This is great for just a couple days. It's obviously not going to last a full 8 days on the mountain. So in addition to that, I got solar charger for the mountain. This was a great purchase. You can hang it from your pack during the day as you're hiking to get a little extra. Just know that you're carrying a little extra weight. These things, there's no such thing as a lightweight. For around $100, you can get something that's functional. It won't fully charge during the day unless it's a very sunny day. So you'll use this kind of sparingly, but it's a good backup option, especially if you have a lot of electronics like I had. I also brought lightweight Kindle just for reading at night. That was very much a good decision to bring because you do have a decent amount of downtime. They're going to hike you in the mornings, and then most days you're finished around noon. So you do have a lot of downtime around the camp. Another thing I brought was a journal. I did not use it at all. This is one that I would opt for skipping because, again, extra weight for the porters. Your packs are going to need to be, the duffel packs for the porters are going to need to be less than 40 pounds. They say 15 to 18 kilograms, which equals about 35 to 40 pounds. I brought my GoPro. I also brought a extension for putting the GoPro on my head or with the stand. So the GoPro is a great thing to have. Also remember, especially if you're bringing the charger, like a solar charger, all your cords, that's a must. And I also brought 4 backup batteries for GoPros. They run out of power really quickly. Additionally, I brought an inReach. I just never travel without this, but the rescue service on Kilimanjaro is a very sophisticated, great system. We saw somebody who had just a problem with their legs and needed rescue come down off the mountain in a stretcher. Nothing serious, but multiple porter groups pitched in to help bring her off the mountain. Extra batteries for your headlamp. You're going to have to make a decision if you're bringing this in your porter bag or bringing it with you. Again, if you're used to having the 10 essentials with you at all points, you're probably going to have this in your day pack. And obviously the extra batteries were for that. One thing that I brought that was a luxury item is this little component here, which can turn a headlamp into a lantern inside the tent. You can hang it in the tent and have a little bit of a lantern option, which is nice. They'll also have lights for you. Another thing I chose to bring in my day pack was a sit pad. This is just a Z-foam sit pack. Nice to have as you're taking little breaks throughout the day, but you're mostly going to be moving. The goal of the guides, it will be to just slowly keep you moving all day long, every day. Another thing I brought, just because I'm used to traveling with this as a avid hiker, is my little portable toiletry pack, which includes a roll of toilet paper, hand sanitizer, and a trough, a hiking trough for digging 6 inches deep if you need a poo. This is very important to have. You need to either pack in and pack out or bury your poo. That is on every mountain, no exceptions. The other thing I brought that I brought too much of was sunscreen. Hats and your sun shirts are gonna cover this for the most part, but you'll want a little sunscreen for your face and on days you get super hot for your arms, but you don't need a whole lot. I brought 3 of these. Really, I only went through about 1. Could have gotten away with only carrying 1. First aid, always a must. Bring your own blisters. Control your own moleskin. Bring your own ibuprofen. Don't rely on the porters or another hiker for that. Always have what you need for your feet in your pack. I did bring snacks. Snacks are always a must, and if you're particular about coffee, it's nice to have just single serving tea bags for coffee. These are single tea bag coffee options. Great to have on the mountain. Also, they will give you snacks every day, but if you need something you're familiar with, like these pro meal bars that I always have when I'm hiking, these are great to have in your pack, just in case you need a little more energy on the trail. Next, I'm going to cover water. So on the trail, they will boil and filter water for you. Most porters and guide services will do that, but you can opt to bring the iodine treating tablets as well if you just want a little extra security. We chose to do that just to make sure. Moving to the head. So sun protection is a must. You are almost 20,000 elevation by the time you get to the top. You're gonna want a pair of sunglasses that work versatile for bottom, but then as you get towards the top, I would recommend, especially if you're going during the season where there's a decent amount of snow, even though you won't be walking on snow as it reflects around you, a mountaineering pair of glasses are actually very handy. They have the sides that block the sun from coming in at the angles of your eye, and they also close off towards the bottom. So when you have these on, you're very well protected from sun getting in at angles. That is not a super common, but our guide even said he's had somebody had snow blindness before, which is a temporary condition, but very scary, and you have to get off the mountain immediately if you have that. The one thing that I brought that I was super happy with, this is always in my day pack. This is a lightweight rain shell that's packable. Patagonia packs down super light. It's good for both rain and wind. The thing to think about on the windy days is it gets super dusty. So on the windy days, you just want to be able to protect yourself. The sunglasses, a lot of times I was wearing those more for dust than the sun on the lower altitudes, and having a shell to also protect the rest of me was super nice. You don't need, I brought this, but you don't need it, bug spray. You're not going to be worried about bugs at altitude. Something I should have known, but I brought it anyway. Wipes are nice to have at the campsite, but they are going to bring you hot water every night. And you could opt to use something like this. This is what I always have on my pack, hanging from my day pack. So it's just a handkerchief that's versatile. I could get this wet at night, use it to wash down, change into my night clothes, stay clean inside my sleeping bag, let this dry out during the day, and just use it for general purpose during the day. I would recommend your 10 essentials, which include a pocket knife, just in case, in your day pack. Additional items that I brought, and I'm going to pull the camera over here. These additional items were super helpful. So I do have some basic medicine and vitamins, and those I put in these great little packable flat pack toiletry cases. What's nice about this is these is kind of a new technology. It's called dry-through technology. And what's great about it is you can put something wet in here. So I could put my bandana in here at night and it's going to dry out from the inside out. But if this gets wet on the outside, everything in it stays dry. So I brought a couple of these and I ended up using these to pack things like my vitamins, my altitude Dimex medicine, toothpaste, toothbrush, my eye drops. I did bring deodorant, also something that's completely optional. You don't necessarily need that on the mountain. Sleeping at night, I would recommend that you have both an eye mask. This is nice to have in addition to earplugs at night. Those are kind of a must, depending on who you're sleeping with at night, if they snore, but also just general camp noise. I also chose to bring the world's smallest lightweight comb. I would say this is one that I wish I'd brought something a little heavy duty because you get very dusty and you get major knots in your hair if you have long, thick hair like I do. So this was handy, but took a long time to brush out my hair with this. So these were in my toiletry bags. I did bring, this was great for hanging my solar charger. So nice to have just a little bit of lightweight rope with you for general purpose. Also brought in another dry bag, hand warmers and toe warmers. Didn't really need that very much, but it was nice to have on the summit day. Sunscreen in your lip balm is also a must. So you're gonna be protecting your face all day. Don't forget your lips. They can get very dry and very chapped in addition to burnt on the mountain. I always have gear patch, so if any of my gear gets ripped, I have patch, which I did end up using a couple times. And then finally, the headgear. I had left behind any caps or any of my normal hiking baseball caps and just brought a wide brim hiking hat, which worked out perfect to block that sun. And then I have my, from Nepal, I have my wool hat, which was great for summit day, and a buffy. Everyone hikes with a buffy. So finally, most of this stuff went into a duffel bag like this. This duffel bag is great for what the porters carry. Just consider that they might be carrying this on their heads. They'll wrap it in their typical cloths, but they might be carrying your duffel bag on their head in addition to their own gear on the pack. So try to pick something that's comfortable for them. Last but not least, it might be helpful just to have this in your hotel room to weigh your pack at night. This is just your typical luggage weigher. You can hang your pack from it and know how close you are to those limitations of weight. All right, that covers it. Please post any questions you might have about gear. This was meant to just be a quick, broad overview. There are additional items that I'll go into in more detail in another post. Thanks everyone, and keep happy and keep moving.